happy forever and ever and ever.
In the end, these people know their hair-raising experiences are just parts of a movie, but for some, they're real. Deep in the Santa Cruz Mountains lies the Brookdale Lodge. Built since the early 1920s, it's been a rest area for more than its famous guests.
Yeah, and I've heard so many stories from my sister, and I wasn't even into it. I came here, I said, yeah, right, a ghost, sure. I thought they were all crazy. I didn't believe anything until that day.
Jennifer Gilbert Soto didn't believe the lodge was home to ghosts until she found herself working late, alone.
I've been closing up at night about 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been by myself and I've heard old-time music coming from, in another room. And I thought that someone had broken into the Brook room and was having an after-hours party or something. So I've walked over to the Brook room.
I wonder if we'll ever meet.
And I'm still hearing the music, and as soon as I open up the Brook room door, everything stops. And I've looked around and there's nobody there.
Woo! Lots of activity up here.
Psychic Annette Martin and paranormal investigator Loyd Auerbach are ghost hunters.
Right here.
They say the lodge is full of spirits.
This is good, okay.
Walking through the Brook room, first thing I noticed before I even entered in there is that there's a high magnetic field right outside the doorway, which is interesting considering that's the spot that people often report hearing the music and hearing the sounds of partying going on inside.
Oh, I've heard the music myself. When I started walking around the top tier up here, I could hear this old music being played.
What Jennifer finds most disturbing are the nights she hears and sees the spirit of a little girl, a child everyone calls Sarah, who drowned in an indoor creek after falling to her death from the second floor of the Brook dining room.
And I've seen shadows walking by, and so I guess that's the one thing that does kind of scare me as a little girl. The fact that I hear her crying is disturbing, but it's mostly sad, like she's just wandering around here, not knowing where to go.
And when I first came into this room, I saw her dancing right underneath this big fixture here. I feel that she is staying here because she's looking for her mother, and she's waiting for her mother to come back for her. And so she hasn't left. And her mother does come and see her, but then her mother leaves, which is very interesting to me. The last time I was here and I was up on the upper tier, I felt something tugging on my jacket, and I turned around and I saw her standing next to me. And she was just sort of looking up at me like, Mommy.
I have learned over the years sometimes to be sensitive myself, and in that area, I usually feel it as sinus pressure, and I felt it quite a bit today.
Some believe there are other spirits lurking in the lodge. Bartender Bill Jacobs hasn't seen any in person, but something strange has happened to him before. It was eerie enough for him not to want to be alone for long, ever.
It was a stormy night, and there were probably 6 or 7 people at the bar. And all of a sudden, a couple of nice people came in, and they sat right at this corner. It was a man and a lady, and they ordered 2 drinks. The guy was a big guy, and they appeared to be in a very happy mood. The gentleman left the bar, and then he went out, went to the restroom, and then he came back in, and when he walked back in, he was crying. And since he was a large guy, I thought I had a problem. He said, there's a man in the restroom with a straw hat watching me. Since I locked the side door and I can see who comes in and out the front, I knew that no one had come into this bar. So I assured him that there's nobody in there. He said, there's somebody in there with a straw hat. So I left the bar, went into the restaurant. There was nobody in there with a straw hat. I came back, the drinks were on the bar, and the couple was gone. It was one of the odder occurrences that have ever happened in a bar, because he seemed very sincere, and he seemed to be well within his senses. And that's what spooked me.
Lifeguard Kevin Stover also feels he's not alone. The swimming pool he watches over happens to be the same place a teenager drowned in the 70s.
I was sitting here, and there were a couple people in the pool. It was a real slow day. And I looked over, and as I turned my eyes, I could see the tail end of what it seemed to be like a figure or a black shadow just trailing across the top up there. That's when I knew that this place is haunted. It was just an odd feeling. It was just I knew something was watching me.
Here at the Brookdale Lodge, there's definitely several ghosts.
And wherever they lurk, there's usually a cold spot.
Oh, and I'm getting covered with goosebumps again. I don't know if the camera can pick those up on my face or not.
To experts, it's a passageway in and out of the spirit world.
Well, I'm glad.
And at that point, we get a real interesting spike, a momentary spike. Annette is picking something up. Now, is she picking up a ghost? She believes she is. I tend to believe she is. But she's picking up something physical in the environment. And that's the key right there.
I'm used to it by now. I just think it's old spirits that are, had a lot of memories here and don't want to leave.